Welcome live from the Amsterdam arena. We talk 2 days about smart cities. Ronald van Warmerdam, you worked for the city of Amsterdam. What smart bit do you do there?
I work for the city of Amsterdam, yes, and I also work for the Technical University in Delft. So I combine these two functions. And the smart thing that we did the last 2.5, 3 years is working on a project called Transform. And this is about smart energy change of cities. So transforming cities to low carbon, that's the aim. And we try to do that in the smartest way possible.
Yeah, and can you give an example? Because how do you do that?
So there are, I think, 3 remarkable examples that we can show, and we do that in the Smart City event these days in the Amsterdam arena. The one is that we made a map of all the energy stuff that we knew in Amsterdam. So all the data that we had about energy production, energy consumption, gas, electricity, you name it. We clicked it on a map. I don't know how it exactly did, so it's very technical. I'm not the technical guy, but we made it visible on the map, and we know now that the visuality of the map, all this data, is more workable and graspable for a human brain than all the Excel sheets that lie behind it. So. Yeah. This is one. So we made the atlas, and we call it the Atlas Amsterdam. And the other thing is, okay, if you have all these data mapped on the city, what then? Because it's nice visually, but what are you going to do with it? And I think this is great that the hackathon is trying to find solutions. What are you going to do with this data? And can it be helpful for the city? And the other thing that we did is we built a tool. We call it the decision support tool or dialogue support tool. You can imagine if you want to build sustainable systems in the city, you have to change the whole infrastructure. But what kind of technique is there? But what kind of solutions are there? And in the decision support tool, we can put in all these measures and match them with the data we have about the cities and see what measures and what systems for the future are the best. Yeah. But this is not all, because you have to do that together with all your stakeholders. And this is what we make in the arena area Zuidoost. We created a sustainable energy lab, sustainable urban development lab, and smart development lab it is called. And all the stakeholders in the area have to come together to find the solutions to work on new and future energy systems.
And whose problem is it? Who is feeling the problem? Because you need to have the problem can be things are expensive, or the problem is there's a shortage or something, etc. And then people are willing to do stuff about it. So, so whose problem is it?
If I'm very frank, can I say? Yeah. I think sometimes that the problem is not that big yet. We are a very rich country. We can pay for our energy easily. We have still the gas infrastructure in Holland, in the Netherlands. So we don't feel the problem. There's not a real, very urgent need that we change the energy systems. And I think that is because, like I said, we are rich, and there is other difficult stuff in business or in politics or in government that has to be solved. But slowly, in the next 10 years, I think if prices are going to rise, if we have problems with the gas in Groningen now, take it out of the ground, and all things are crumbling down there, so this is not helping. I think step by step, the urgency will come. And I think at the moment, I think citizens in the city feel the need to change the energy system. And this is why they buy the PV panels. And this is why they try to invest in windmills. So I think the politicians, they tell about climate change, etc., but no very big investments are yet made. We do this in a general approach, and I think the urgency, I think it's felt more, I think, with citizens as I look to it.
Yeah, and in this area, of course, there are as well people living here. Also, there are like companies working here, and at this place, where they now and then have 40,000 or 50,000, what is it, people gathering around. So there's a lot of interesting stuff, I think, and different stuff happening over here as well. So what sort of an information, when we talk about the energy, do you have about this area?
The information in the sense
Okay, you
of
said the data. What sort of data do you have?
Yeah, what we discovered with unleashing, maybe you can call that, freeing the data, we encountered a lot of problems in the sense that, okay, sometimes data is private data, so you have to make it a little blur to keep the privacy of the people and the inhabitants.
Make it anonymous, yeah?
Yeah, make it anonymous. So this is a level that was very hard to... What is the level of aggregation? Okay, this is what we had to we have to solve. And we solved it in Amsterdam, but it's not easy to solve that because it is related to law and it's related to maybe moral things. But also business tend to hold the data that is maybe valuable for their business or for their business cases. They tend to keep it to themselves. So what we saw in Amsterdam, that especially Alliander was willing to free the data that they have, because they thought, okay, if we are not able to invent everything with the data we have, we can sit on it and hold it for ourselves. But are we having enough time to invent, like maybe today is in the hackathon, are we able to do that? So they say if we unleash the data, we give it to the people, we give it to new entrepreneurs and startups, then maybe someone come up with something brilliant. Because we can't do that alone.
And what sort of, because they can work with the data sets you have, so what sort of information is in there? What sort of information can they do stuff with? There's a lot of information about energy consumption. There is a lot of information on energy potential. There is also a lot of information on the quality of buildings, for instance. So if you have very bad buildings, what is the best to do? Is it the best to isolate it and to improve the physical things of the building, or maybe is it better to connect the building to heat systems instead of gas systems? So I think these kind of things you can work on, and I think if it comes to for instance, neighborhood, you have some neighborhoods where people live, they really want to change something, and it's, I think, in Zuidoost. So the arena is working together with the hospital and with the other companies around in the area, and okay, how can we balance the energy system in our district, and is it maybe profitable? So these kind of things, I think we can do with this data. Yeah, and you work for the city of Amsterdam, and of course, then we talked a little bit earlier on, and then you don't only look 2 or 3 years ahead, but there's a long time to go. So if I ask you personally, what do you see, say, changing in the next 10 years, for example? 10 is maybe you think in 50 years, but
right.
So how are things going to be different then?
I think energy systems in cities are really vast, and they tend to be like there for a long time. So if you have an infrastructure on gas, it will be there for 50 years. If it's an electricity, maybe it can last for 100 years. I heard some electricity parts of the city of Amsterdam are there already for 100 years. It's incredible, but you don't change that overnight. So I think if it comes to energy transition and to make cities low carbon cities, because this would researched in Transform, I think it will take 50 years. And for me, I think within 10 years we will see a change in taking the gas infrastructure out for a large part and changing that into heat infrastructure, because we have a lot of waste heat still. It's not very popular everywhere in the country, so people love their gas and maybe not love the heat, but it is a system of the future, and you can see that. And if it comes to new neighborhoods, I think we have to design systems that are even more better, and maybe we don't need heat infrastructure anymore as well. So then there will be systems like all electric systems, but it's future things. But I think in the next 10 years, all these new systems that are on the verge of rising now will be tested and will be experimented with. And,
we've moved, say, the last 20-25 years to a world where, say, software has become more important than so-called hardware, you could say. So in that world, everything goes faster and faster because it's technology driven. And do you see, say elements of that? So it's like elements of thinking in that maybe a neighborhood should be more changeable according to people living there or whatever it is. Do you see the long-term things like 100 years, 50 years? Is the real world taking over elements of the online world?
I think that is so. Sometimes I feel that the people from the ICT world and the data world, they think that the whole world will be digital. And that's nonsense. I think it's a new industrial revolution. We saw the revolution about electricity. We saw the steel, but steel is never going to be digital. If you have this stadium, okay, we can make a football play on television or on your iPhone, but the game is here. You need a stadium to do the game. So I think we put a layer on all the industrial revolution layers we made. So. And they will mingle. They will. How do you call it? Mingle with each other. They will. We have to be clear about that because not everybody is going to be a flexible worker or a digital worker, or because the garbage man still has to collect the garbage in front of your house, and it's real tangible world, and it stinks, and you have to go. You want it away, and your food is still your food, and you have to buy that at Albert Heijn, and maybe they bring it at home, but it's still stuff. It's not going to be digital. No. So I think. The digital world is adding a lot of new things to the worlds that we have, and there will be still trains, and there will be still maybe cars, and they are not on petrol, but maybe they're electrical. Yeah. So I think it's systems that layers up. I'm curious what the next layer will be. So this is maybe
have you any idea? Are they working with the data sets you have, with the teams?
I understood that the people in the hackathon are working on the data that we have on the Amsterdam Atlas. Yeah. I'm really curious what comes out in the afternoon, because I heard that afternoon there will be a prize for the best plan or for the best idea. Very curious.
Yeah, I'm as well. Okay, thanks a lot for this talk, and let's see later on today what they come up with.
Okay, thank you very much too. Okay.